my people on the daily. Pick up your Bible, start reading, quit being lazy. I really can't believe the heathen nation try to play me. They've been planning martial law on us since the 80s. Knocking brute slaps, pulling up to edify. Got my notebook full of precepts and my fringes on fly. Salvation for the Jews and your pastor's a lie. Your vision is impaired, he ain't open your third eye. Start reading on your own. Come on, I know you grown. All praises to the Abba while he chillin' on his throne. Still downloading knowledge, so I store it in my dome. Stop watching till I vision to get the pine down your phone. Follow motion to repent, and my access was granted. Kept these laws and commandments for wisdom and understanding. You go to Sunday service and don't get no understanding. Cause he a wolf in sheep clothing, feeding my people underhand. Ate some scriptures for breakfast, keeping faith in LSC, so I know that they blessings. All praises to the Father, the Ruach is my weapon. If it wasn't for the Abba, then I wouldn't be wrecking. Turning up on Friday night, but that's the night that I'm prepping. Kept it holy 7 days a week, the Sabbath I'm resting. Keep my distance from them strange fruits, learning my lesson. Where them campaign scriptures, you still ain't answer my question. Even though you can't provide them, I ain't doing no flexing. This here the doctrine of Christ, classes in session. They rock customized garments, but they spirit is missing. Twisting up the scriptures, make they doctrine catchy. They try to reel me in, but now they can't catch me. The answer's no, can't no super bruise chill in my section. Most high willingly send a vessel out to reach you. But as of now, your fruit is strange, I can't put you on the feet.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom, Shabbat, shalom. We're gonna get started in just a second. Let me send this link out a little bit more real quick. But we got an interesting lesson today, and the lesson is about John the Baptist. Okay, John, we're gonna be talking about John the Baptist and his role and who he is according to Hebrew Christian history. Okay, who he is according to the Ebionites history. So this is what we're gonna be going into. All right. So we're gonna be touching on these things, touching on this information. We're gonna be talking about the lineage of him coming from Aaron and actually being the Levitical Messiah. Going to go into some information and show how much people respected John the Baptist. All right, so we're going to check out this information. We're going to be talking about what did the Messiah say about John the Baptist. All right, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the history of John the Baptist from an Ebionite Nazarene sources, from that understanding, from that standpoint. We're going to be going into the information on understanding what, according to the Ebionite sources, what they say about John the Baptist. You know, what can we get from Jewish Christian understanding, or what we'll say Hebrew Christian understanding, or just Judean Messianic understanding. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go into this information now, and then we're also going to be talking about John the Baptist and Elijah the prophet, and how that priestly lineage connection of both of them. How we know that John the Baptist is um from the lineage of Aaron, but what about Elijah the prophet? Is he from the lineage of Aaron, going down to talking about going down to the Zadok, going down to what was going to be passed down as a righteous lineage that would be actually ruling next to the king of Judah. All right. We're gonna be talking about that, the connection with John the Baptist and Elijah. All right. So now let's check some of this stuff out. Let's go into some of these things, man. Let's check these things out. And this is Jerusalem Ministry, and our goal is to bring forth, Jewish Christian understanding or Hebrew Christian understanding. All right, to bring this forth, to try to bring back the understanding of the early church, based off the information that we do have at the moment. All right. Are you there, Brother Anaya? You there?
Shalom. Yeah, I'm here.
All right, let's get it. Let's get right to this. All right, there we go. I'm ready now. All right, so let's get it popping. All right, so now we're gonna go into the Q gospel. All right, we're gonna check this out. We're gonna check out the Q gospel. All right. Now we're going into the Q gospel because we're going into information right now that's talking about John the Baptist. All right. So we're gonna be talking about John the Baptist and what did the Messiah say about John. So let's see. Let's find out what we get from John. Trying to starting with try to start with the earliest sources of the Messiah. Now the Q gospel is just things that's written, sayings and stuff that's written in Luke and Matthew that they have as the same, but it's not found in any other of the gospels. It's not found in Mark, it's not found in John. Is these things are only found in Luke and Matthew. All right, so these what you would be called, they had a common source that was used earlier that actually scholars tried to put back together, and it's called the Q gospel. All right, so these will be like early sayings of the Messiah that we get, and scholars say the Q gospel has to be written around at least the 40s CE, 40s AD. So let's check this out. Let's check out the Q gospel. Now we're gonna go to Q24. Starting Q24. Right here, Q24. And can you read, start at Q24 right there. Can you read the first paragraph for me, bro? Right there.
Q24. When John heard in prison what the Messiah was doing, he sent word by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one who is to come, or are we to wait for another?" Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me."
You going, bro? So hold on. So right here, so you got John sending his disciples to Jesus and saying, "Hey, yo, ask John, ask Jesus, is he the one?" And then Jesus actually he's quoting from Isaiah, and he quoting from the Dead Sea Scrolls, from a record called the Messianic Apocalypse. All right. So now that is happening. So John is like sending his disciples saying, "Go ask Jesus," and then Jesus quote those things. He quote those things. All right. But let's keep going. Let's see what the Messiah, what Jesus or Yeshua say about John. Keep going, bro. The next paragraph.
As they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to look at? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? Someone dressed in soft robes? Look, those who wear soft robes are in royal palaces, excuse me. What then did you go out to see? A, a prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one about whom it is written, see, I am sending my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you.
And this is what you see in the scrolls. You see in the community rule, they're preparing the way of the wilderness in the wood. They're preparing the way for the people to come to the community. They're preparing the way. So John the Baptist, he's one of those leaders within that community, and I'm gonna show you how this is so based off Josephus. All right, so he's one of those leaders in this community that's preparing the way that you see that's written in the community rules and that's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. All right, but Yeshaya, or what the world knows Jesus, Yeshaya say he say look, he's more than a prophet. Yeah, he's a prophet, but he even more than a prophet. He's more than a prophet. So if he's more than a prophet, then what that makes him? He's because prophets anointed. The word Messiah is so just mean anointed. All right. But he's saying he's more than anointed. That means he's something like dealing with like he's up there on a level of being a messianic Levitical Messiah type of anointing, because he said he's more than a prophet. He's more than a prophet. If he's more than a prophet, then what is he? What is John? What is John? Well, we know he's a Levite already. We already know he's a Levite, but he's more than a prophet. So what does that make him? What does that make him? He's a Levite that's from a lineage of the high priest. All right. And he's a prophet, but he's more than a prophet. Sounds like he's a Messiah to me, a Levitical Messiah to me. All right. Now, it's good, but it's more to this. So Yeshaya himself letting you know he's more than a prophet. All right. And he's the one that's preparing the way. So he's the one that's leading this community within the Dead Sea Scrolls. All right, for a time. He's the one. When you read the community rules, prepare the way, baptism, all of that. That's John. That's John. That's in the community rules. That's what we going into history about John right now. All right, keep going, bro. The last paragraph right here.
It says, truly, I tell you, among those born of woman, no one has arisen greater than John the Baptist, yet the least in the kingdom of the Most High is greater than he.
He said, I tell you this, no more among those born of women is greater than John. So John is important. John, so the Messiah is given this, high regards to about John. All right, letting you know. And then on top of that, the Messiah got baptized by John. So that means John was his teacher. John was his teacher. If John the one who's preparing, he's a leader of this community. He's preparing the way. That's what you see when you first go into the Gospel of Mark. In the beginning, it tell you in the beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, it starts about John, and he was preparing the way in the wilderness, all right, and baptizing people, all right. But the Messiah himself, according to, this is a common source, because this information right here, you see right here, is coming from Matthew chapter 11, 2 through 11, and Luke chapter 7, 18 through 20, and 22 through 28, all right. And then this is a common source that Matthew and Luke was using. All right, and we're going to come to find out that common source is what scholars call the Q gospel. That was actually the Hebrew gospels and what actually Matthew, the apostle, actually wrote. And then the Dead Sea Scrolls was like the source that Matthew used to compile this information to go send out to other nations, because to tell you, Papias tell you that Matthew recorded some. He recorded it in Hebrew, and then the other nations, they took it and translated the best way they can. All right. So this Q gospel was out there as early as the 40s, 50s. And the Dead Sea Scrolls showing you that the Dead Sea Scrolls is one of the common source for the Q gospel. All right. So now let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we now let's go to Q25. We stand in the Q gospel, Q25. Read that paragraph, bro.
It says, from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has suffered violent attacks, and violent men try to seize it. Until the time of John, all the prophets and the law of Moses spoke about the kingdom.
So he got so much greatness to say about John. All right, so much greatness to say about John. He's this much. You talking this much. You giving this much admiring, giving this much admiration to somebody. That's like you giving your admiration to a teacher that taught you things, that put you on to some things. That put you on with some information, and you're reverencing that teacher. All right, and that's what the Messiah is doing right now. He's reverencing John. He's reverencing that teacher. All right, now let's keep going. Q26.
But to what will I compare this generation? They are like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling to one another. We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We sung sad songs, and you did not mourn.
Mm-hmm.
For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they did say, he has a demon. Now the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is vindicated by her deeds.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So this is you kind of get some information, from this. All right, but we have to remember this Q gospel is a commonality of a source that Luke and Matthew, that the authors of Luke and Matthew was using, and they're putting in their Greek, understanding. You know what I'm saying? So now that's why we're going to go into some fragments, and we're going to go in, but the original source would be the Dead Sea Scrolls that would show you what Matthew more than likely used to put together, the oracles or the sayings, of the Lord, of the Messiah. All right. So now of his teacher. All right. So now, so what we're going to do, so is give you a little information about John. All right, about John, and then the Messiah actually bigging up John. He's giving him his props. All right, and letting you know that, yeah, and letting his disciples know, like, okay, y'all good. Y'all just basically, he letting you know, like, y'all can come rock with me. Y'all can come rock with me. You know what I'm saying? John is passing the baton to me. Y'all can come rock with me. I'm gonna lead the situation now, okay? The Judean Messiah, the he's here, which is the ultimate leader of the community. So now we're gonna go to Matthew. We're gonna go to the Greco-Roman Matthew real quick, and let's check out Matthew chapter 21, verse 23. Matthew, so we in Matthew chapter 21. And can you read, start at verse 23. We're gonna be verse 23 through 27. Start at verse 23, bro.
All right. Said 23 through 20. All right. It says, and when he was coming to the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching and said, by what authority doest thou these things? And who gave thee this authority? And Yeshua answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing. Which if ye tell me, I and likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. Verse 25. The baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven or of men? And they reasoned within themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why did ye not then believe him? But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Yeshua and said, we cannot tell. And he said unto them, neither tell I you by what authority I do these things.
So they couldn't do it. They couldn't say which one it was, because if they say one thing, then that's gonna mess them up. If they say the other thing, then that's gonna mess them up. So, and they couldn't do that. They couldn't say it because if they say that it wasn't, that John baptism wasn't from the Most High, then they feared the people. They feared the people because the people hold John as a prophet. John had the people on his side. John had a lot of people on his side. He was the leader of a lot of people. We're going to see this. We're going into the information about the history of John the Baptist, right? So we're going to see how John the Baptist actually, had so much, he was a leader over a whole community. He was actually the leader over the whole Essenes. All right, he was the leader over it. I'm going to show that. So now let's go into some history with it. So now let's go into Josephus. So we in Josephus, Antiquity of the Jews. We in chapter 18. Chapter 18. We in book 18. We in book 18, chapter 5. So we in Antiquity of the Jews, book 18, chapter 5. All right. And let's go to paragraph 2 real quick. All right, so paragraph 2. Can you read that paragraph 2 right here, bro?
Yeah. Now some of the Jews thought that the destruction of Herod's army came from the Most High, and that very justly, as a punishment of what he did against John, that was called the Baptist. For Herod slew him, who was a good man, and commanded the Jews to exercise virtue, both as to righteousness toward one another and piety towards the Most High, and so to come to baptism, for that the washing with water would be acceptable to him, if they made use of it, not in order to the putting away or the remission of some sins only, but for the purification of the body, supposing still that the soul was thoroughly, where was I at? Hold on,
Right
that
here.
the soul was thoroughly purified beforehand by righteousness. So when many others came and crudes about him, for they were very greatly moved or pleased by hearing his words.
So many, it's crews, actually it's crowds. This is just a translation. But many came to him in crowds about him and greatly moved. So it's explaining that John, he was doing baptism. He was well known of having piety towards God, and he came on the scene doing baptism a certain way. He was washing with water would be acceptable to him, but it was not in order to the putting away or the remission or putting away of some sins only, but for the purification of the body. Supposing that you're coming to this water already, beforehand, purified beforehand by righteousness. How do you do that? By your getting and understanding this law, showing you that this is an Essene thing, because before you even get into the water, according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, before you even get to the water, you have to learn first the laws of the Most High God. First, you learn the law first, then you get into the water. All right. So many was coming to John in crowds, in crowds. All right. So then, and they was hearing his words. Keep going right here. Herod.
Herod, who feared lest the great influence John had over the people might put it into his power and inclination to raise rebellion.
He got so much people, he can raise a rebellion. Okay, this is how much this John is a leader over a whole community of people. He started this community at the Qumran Caves. He was one of the people that helped establish it. All right. He's one of the leaders that was there. All right. That's why there's so much connections with John the Baptist in the Qumran Caves, in the community at the Dead Sea Scrolls, because John was one of the leaders that was there. He was one of the leaders that was there. All right. He said he was helping setting it up. He was setting this up. All right. Keep going, bro.
Let me see. It
Right
says,
here.
for they seemed ready to do anything he should advise.
He got so much because he got a lot. He got a lot of people. He's the leader over Essenes, and then you even got Pharisees and Sadducees flocking to him. You know what I'm saying? Becoming what Josephus want to name as Essenes, and Philo call them Essenes. All right, but they don't call themselves Essenes according to the Dead Sea Scrolls. They call themselves the righteous poor ones. They call themselves they call themselves the way, the followers of the way. You know, the cornerstones, the precious cornerstone. That's what they call themselves. They call themselves the poor, the righteous poor, the congregation of the poor. You know what I'm saying? Which was the Essenes, because they had communities living in all common, not because they poor, they can't can feed themselves. They're poor because they living in all common, and they're taking care, they're securing the poor also. That's why they was called the poor. All right. So this community, this is community that John is over. All right, keep going, bro.
All right. It says, for they seemed ready to do anything he should advise, thought it best by putting him to death to prevent any mischief he might cause, and not bring himself into difficulties by sparing a man who might make him repent of it when it would be too late. Accordingly, he was sent a prisoner out of Herod's suspicious temper to Machaerus
Yeah.
castle I before mentioned, and was there put to death. Now the Jews had an opinion that the destruction of this army was sent as a punishment upon Herod, and a mark of the Most High's displeasure to him.
Mm-hmm. So this how much, you know, reverence the people have for John. When John was taken away to prison and then was put to death, because according to Mark, which we about to read, he was put to death. He was put to death. He was they cut it. They beheaded him. All right, but it was a reason why he was put to death, and that same reason is actually in the chapter right above. Is in the paragraph right above. We're going to read it. I started in paragraph 2 to go straight to John, but we're going to show what's one of the reasons that John actually got killed. You know what I'm saying? Not because not only he had this great influence, not only that, but he was speaking out against the Herodians for certain things. All right, according to what the Dead Sea Scrolls sect didn't approve of. All right. So now, but before I go there real quick, let's go to Mark. We're gonna read Mark. One second. Mark chapter 6. Mark chapter 6. Start at verse 14. Start at verse 14.
All right. Mark chapter 6, verse 14. And King Herod heard of him, for his name was spread abroad. And he said that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him.
He said that John the Baptist, that man, something like he's a special man. That man was risen from the dead. That man, that he came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? This man, his name just got big. His name spread around. Keep going, bro.
Hold on, where's my?
Verse 15.
Oh, okay. It says, others said that it is Elias, and another said, excuse me, and others said that it is a prophet, or as one of the prophets.
So people saying he's a lie. And why is that connection with Elias? Because Elias actually represents that priestly, that priestly prophet that's supposed to return, that priestly messianic prophet that's supposed to be coming. Okay, that's supposed to be coming. All right, so that's why they kept on. We're gonna come to find out that the ancient Jews believe that Elijah actually came directly from the lineage of Aaron. We're gonna read about that. All right, so this is why they kept mentioning that. All right. All right, so now keep going, verse 16.
But when Herod heard thereof, he said, it is John whom I beheaded. He is risen from the dead. For Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John and bound him in prison for Herodotus' sake, his brother Philip's wife, for he had married her. For John had said unto Herod, it is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. Therefore, Herodotus had a quarrel against him and would have killed him, but she could not. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just man and and holy, and observed him. Scroll down some.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and observed him. And when he heard him, he did many things and heard him gladly. And when a convenient day was come, that Herod on his birthday made a supper to his lords, high captains, and chief estates of Galilee. And when the daughter of the said Herodotus came in and danced and pleased Herod and them that sat with him, the king said unto the damsel, ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. And he sware unto her, whatsoever thou shalt ask of me, I will give it thee unto the half of my kingdom. And she went forth and said unto her mother, what shall I ask? And she said, the head of John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
And she came in straightway with haste unto the king and asked, saying, I will that thou give me by and by in a charger the head of John the Baptist.
So John was a problem for Herod. He was a problem for Herod. He was a problem. John, it said that John himself spoke out for himself. Verse 17, for Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John and bound him in prison for Herod's sake, his brother Philip's wife, for he had married her. For John had said unto Herod, it is not lawful for thee to have thy brother's wife. All right. So John was a problem. Not only was John, having a lot of, publicity going on and people, he, running the community of these Essenes and stuff like that. Not only is that going on, even after his death, even after John's death, he was a problem to Herod still because the community was even stronger. All right. So, but even with that, this is the reason why he killed John, because he had spoke out, because John spoke out against his wife. All right. He spoke out against his wife, but we're going to see what speaking out he did. All right. So, keep on, where you at? Verse 26.
He was going against government officials.
Yeah.
If he was on YouTube, John would have got a strike. Verse 26 says, and the king was exceeding sorry, yet for his oath's sake, and for their sakes, which sat with him, he would not reject her. Mm-hmm. And immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in the prison, mm-hmm. and brought his head in a charger and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to her mother. And when his disciples heard of it, they came and took up his corpse and laid it in a tomb.
So that was, that's how John the Baptist died according to Mark. So we got the understanding from Josephus, then we got this understanding from this author of Mark. We got this understanding. That's how John the Baptist died. He died according to Josephus. He died because he was a problem. He died because he was a problem. He had many people, and Herod feared that, well, all these people, they would do what he want. Just one John tell him to do something, they'll do it. You know what I'm saying? He feared that John had some of the people that he can cause a rebellion and take over. But according to Mark, John died because he spoke out against Herod's wife. All right. So, but now let's go back to Josephus real quick. And we still in Antiquity of the Jews, book 18, chapter 5. We're gonna read paragraph 1. Just you're not gonna read the whole thing. Just start at the first stanza though.
All right. It says, about the time of Aretas, the king of Arabia, Petra, and Herod had a quarrel on the account following. Herod, the tetrarch, had married the daughter of Aretas and had lived with her a great while. But when he was once at Rome, he lodged with Herod, who was his brother indeed, but not by the same mother. For this Herod was the son of the high priest Simon's daughter. However, he fell in love with Herodotus, this last Herod's wife, who was the daughter of Aristobulus, their brother, and the sister of Agrippa the Great. This man ventured to talk to her about a marriage between them, which addressed when she admitted, and an agreement was made for her to change her habitation and come to him as soon as he should return from Rome.
You go right there. So he ended up marrying Herod. Herod ended up marrying his brother's daughter. All right. He ended up marrying his brother's daughter. That's not good. Okay, that's not good. And this is what John spoke out against. He spoke out against that. See, the Gospels just try to make it seem like John was speaking out because he was marrying Herod was marrying his brother's wife. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, his brother, whatever. I mean, or depending on how the situation happened. But if the brother died, then you know what I'm saying, you can kind of do that depending on the situation. But it's nothing. So it wasn't that though. That wasn't the case. The case was that Herod was marrying his brother's wife. I mean, his brother ex-wife, but also another brother sister. That's one of his brother's ex-wife, and then that's also another his brother sister.
The daughter.
The daughter of another one of his brothers. So he's marrying his niece. He's marrying his step sister-in-law / niece. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see what we're gonna go to the Zedekiah fragments, which is the same thing as the Damascus document, but we're gonna read it in the Zedekiah fragments. And this is Zedekiah fragment. I'm going to chapter 7. Chapter 7. All right. And this was found in Egypt. And this same record was found at the Qumran caves, which they call the Damascus document. It got renamed to the Damascus document because of all the references to Damascus that's in here. So we in Damascus document, or the Zedekiah fragment. We in chapter 7. Can you read? Start at verse 3. What is verse 3?
It says, but the fundamental principle of the creation, male and female, created he them. And they who went into the ark, 2 and 2, went into the ark. And as to the prince, it is written, he shall not multiply wives unto himself.
Oh.
But David read not in the book of the law that was sealed, which was in the ark.
Hold on
For
real
it
quick. Hold on. Well, I'm gonna get back to that. We shouldn't have read. Let's read. Start at verse 8. Start at verse 8. But that's a whole nother conversation. Start at verse 8 though.
Yeah, all right. Verse 8. And they also pollute the sanctuary, since they separate not according to the law, and lie with her who sees the blood of her issue.
So you
And
got
they
people having sex with women that's on their menstrual cycle, doing her menstrual cycle. Keep going.
and they take to wife each other, excuse me, take to wife each his brother's daughter.
And they take to wife his brother's daughter. This is what John the Baptist was speaking against. He's the leader of this community. So they this is a rule to them. This is a law to them according to the Most High, that they should not sleep with their brother's daughter, with their niece. They should not marry their niece. Keep going.
Or his sister's daughter.
Or his sister's daughter. Keep going.
But Moses said, thou shalt not approach thy mother's sister. She is thy mother's near kin. So the law of intercourse for males is written. The same, excuse me, and the same law of her father. He is near of kin.
Hold on, and the same law holds for females. So the same law, so the law of intercourse for males is written. That's written than what we just read what Moses said, but it also holds the same thing on the opposite end also. So on both sides of the family, you don't do that on neither side of the family. You don't marry your sister's children, and you don't marry your brother's children. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Incest.
Keep going. Holds for females right here.
All right. And the same law holds for females. And let not the daughter of the brother uncover the nakedness of the brother of her father. He is near of kin.
And that's it right there. He is near. You don't do it. You don't do it. All right. It's a law that they had that was there. Okay. And they understood that you don't happen. So that's what John was speaking out against. Okay, the Pharisees weren't speaking out against that towards Herod. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, they didn't consider that a law. But this sect did. And it's interesting that when Josephus talk about John the Baptist, in the first paragraph, he mentioned that is situation what Herod did, marrying his niece. And then the next paragraph over is talking about John the Baptist and how he died. But then in Mark is letting you know that Herod, took John, to prison, took him captive because he spoke out against his wife. So, and then in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's showing you that this sect was against anybody sleeping with or trying to marry their niece. Okay, they was against that. So history about John the Baptist. So now let's go to the Dead Sea Scrolls real quick. We're gonna go to the scrolls. Go to these scrolls.
And even though Herod was an Edomite, just for those that don't know, he lived life as a Jew and claimed that he was a bloodline Jew. So therefore, you have to hold him accountable by the Torah. So that's why John the Baptist was able to speak out against him, because he lived life as a Jew.
He claimed to be a Jew. All right, so now let's keep going. So history of John the Baptist from the Ebionite understanding. So we're giving it to you in a Jewish Christian understanding. All right. Let's see. I gotta wait till it catches up. It's moving slow. Let's see. Gotta wait for this thing to catch up. But yeah, so we're gonna go to the Dead Sea Scroll. We're gonna go to page 145. 145. When it's actually, it's the same thing within the Zedekiah fragment. We're in the Damascus document. But in the Damascus document, it kind of says something a little different. And it's a little older. It's a little older also. Well, I want to say a little older. It's a lot older, like 1,000 years older than the Zedekiah fragment. Zedekiah fragment got found in the 10th, 11th century. All right. These Dead Sea Scrolls, I mean, it dates to the 10th to 11th century, but the Dead Sea Scrolls dates from like the 3rd, 4th century BCE all the way to the 1st century AD. All right. So let's check this out. We're in the Damascus document, page 145, which is actually chapter 18, there's chapter 18 in the Zedekiah fragment. All right. We're gonna read in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So now, page 145. Now, let's see where we're gonna start at. All right, so now just start. Read this right here, bro. Read this.
All right. It
Hold on
says,
now. Read this right here. Read this. All this was highlighted right here.
all right, it says, this is the rule of the congregation by which it shall provide for all its needs. They shall place the earrings, they shall place the earnings of at least 2 days out of every month into the hands of the guardian and the judges. And from it they shall give to the fatherless, and from it they shall secure the poor and the needy, the aged, sick, and the man who is stricken with disease, the captive taken by a foreign people, the virgin with no near kin, and the maid for whom no man cares. And this is the exact statement of the assembly. This is the exact statement of the statutes in which they shall walk until the coming of the Messiah of Aaron and Israel, who will pardon their iniquity.
So Aaron and the Messiah out of Aaron and Israel, they were parting their iniquity. All right. Now they work together. Now they work together. It's a whole lesson we have prepared later in the future day, dealing with the two Messiahs. All right, dealing with the two Messiahs. All right, but the Davidic Messiah, he's the prince over the whole congregation. He's the leader over the whole congregation. But it is a Levitical or Aaron Messiah that's there, to be right next to sit right next to be counseling, to be a righteous counselor to the king, to the Davidic Messiah. So now let's check, let's get some information more about John, about this Aaron Messiah that's going to be parting iniquity. We see that he's baptizing people for the remission of sins. He's helped parting their iniquity. Okay, that's one aspect. Look at it now, but check this out. Let's see what it actually says. Let's see what Luke gets some information from. He's getting information from a record. The author Luke, he's getting information from a record that he have that we don't have. Okay, but check this out. This is some information. This is about John. Okay, John the Baptist. Now, we in Luke, we in the Greco-Roman Luke chapter 1. Can you read chapter 1 verse. Can you start at verse 76 right here?
Yeah. And thou, child, shalt be called the prophet of the highest, for thou shalt go before the face of the Lord to prepare his ways,
Keep going.
to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins.
So he's going to be giving salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. He's going to be parting their iniquity. He's going to be doing that's why in the scrolls it tell you the Messiah out of Aaron and Israel were parting their iniquity. Keep going, bro.
Verse 78. Through the tender mercy of our most high, whereby the day spring from on high have visited us. Keep going. To give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit, and was in the desert to the day of his sowing unto Israel.
He was in the desert. He was in the desert preparing, setting up the community that was in the desert, setting up this community. And then when he was shown to Israel, he was pardoning people's sins by the remission by baptism, the remission of sins. All right. So this is what the information that we have about John the Baptist. Okay. Now let's keep getting some more information. I'm gonna get some more information about John the Baptist. But let's see. Hold on, because it's something that I want to show, but I will show that in just a second. Let me finish with this real quick. Now, where is it? There we go. Here we go. The gospel of the Ebionites. All right, so now we're gonna go to the gospel of the Ebionites real quick. The gospel of the Ebionites. So just to show some more of history about John, some more history about John. So this is about John right here. Can you read this right here where it say and at the beginning of their gospel it runs?
Yeah. In the beginning of their gospel runs, it came to pass in the days of Haran, the king of Judea, when Caiaphas was high priest, that there came one, John by name, and baptized with the baptism of repentance in the river Jordan. It was said of him that he was of the lineage of Aaron the priest, a son of Zacharias and Elizabeth, and all went out to him.
So this is what we have in the Jewish Christian gospels, in which we can see that in the Greco-Roman gospels, because they use what you'll call the Q gospel to have information about John. But we're gonna get some more information about John that's not in the Greco-Roman gospels. All right, that's not in there. So now let's go to
if you don't mind, I want to say something too to precept that real quick. What we just read, I'm not going nowhere, but I just wanted to say something. Even when you go into the Greco-Roman Gospels, when they talk about Zacharias, the father of John the Baptist, the job that he had, which was to light the censers in the month of, or not the month, but in the time frame of Abia, the course of Abia, that job in particular is one of the jobs that's set aside for the sons of Aaron as well. Just to show you that John the Baptist is definitely from the sons of Aaron. But go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, definitely. We in the gospel of the Nazarenes. Can you read right here? This is what Jerome. We just read out of the gospel of the Ebonites, and that was quoted almost verbatim by Ephanius. He had their record. Now with Jerome, same thing. He has their record, and he's quoting some things that's within their record that's different from the Greco-Roman records that we have. So can you read this about what he says about baptism right here?
Yeah, it says, behold, the motor of the Lord and his brethren said to him, John the Baptist baptizes unto the remission of sins. Let us go and be baptized by him. But he said to them, Wherein have I sinned that I should go and be baptized by him? Unless what I have said is ignorance, a sin of ignorance.
So it's Jerome got something recorded in the Gospel of the Nazarenes. It's saying, "Behold, it's actually the mother of the Lord and his brethren." They was like, "Let's go get baptized by John. Let's go. Let's go join a community. Basically, let's go join that community. Because before you even get baptized, you got to learn the law. All right. So that was considered, and we understood that he did go get baptized. Let's read it in the Greco-Roman, not in the where is it? Go, there we go. Let's read it in the right here in the Ebionite gospel. Read it right here where it say, and after much has been recorded, it proceeds.
All right. And after much has been recorded, it proceeds. When the people were baptized, Yeshua also came and was baptized by John. And as he came up from the water, the heavens was opened, and he saw the Holy Spirit in the form of a dove that descended and entered into him. You gotta scroll down. I can't see. All right. It says, and a voice sounded from heaven that said, You are my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And again, I have this day begotten you. And immediately a great light shone round about the place. When John saw this, it is said, he said unto him, Who are you, Lord? And again a voice from heaven rang out to him, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And then it is said, John fell down before him and said, I beseech you, Lord, baptize me. But he prevented him and said, Suffer it, for thus it is fitting that everything should be fulfilled.
So even in the Jewish Gospels, we see that John baptized the Messiah. All right, and the Messiah became, he became begotten, on that day of his baptism. So, like that was a fulfillment of his start of his ministry at his baptism. And so he had to learn underneath John. All right, he had to learn underneath John to get this understanding. So more about John, some things that I find very, very interesting that we're about to jump into. Now, we're about to jump into some stuff. Now, where is this thing at? Oh, it's up here. It's up here. We're still in the Gospel of the Ebionites. Now, I'm gonna read this part about. I read this right here. Read this right here. And it came to pass right here.
It came to pass that John was baptizing, and there went out to him Pharisees and were baptized, and all of Jerusalem. And John had a garment of camel's hair and a leather girdle round about his loins. And his food, as it is said, was wild honey. The taste, if which was that of manna, as a cake dipped in oil. Thus they were resolved to poverty. Scroll down. Thus they were resolved to pervert the truth into a lie and put a cake in the place of locusts.
So that what Ephanetus saying. He's saying they put cake instead of locusts, because in the Greco-Roman gospel they got John eating locusts. But in the Jewish Christian Gospels, the ones who were the early followers of the Messiah, who probably know John and cool with John followers, because John and the followers and the Messiah followers are the same followers. So they know They know what John was eating. All right. So in it say that, you know, that is the Greek word for locust is acris. Okay, I got it right here on the screen. It's acris, acris. But the Greek word for cake is right here, and it's ecris, ecris. So it was just a mistranslation, and they did it so easy. Somebody did it. I think the Jewish Christian one is the more original one. And why do I think that? But it just mean ecris would just mean a cake made with oil and honey. So that was what was originally there, not locust, not locust. All right, it's just a translation mishap. You know, somebody did a mistranslation. Now, but let's see where the Jewish Christians get that understanding from. Where do they get that understanding from that John was eating locusts? I mean, was eating cake and not locusts. All right, maybe because they knew him, and then maybe also because it lines up with scriptures. It lines up with scriptures. So now let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 16. Read verse 4 for me right here, bro. Verse 4.
All right, Exodus chapter 16, verse 4. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or not.
He gonna go. So the Most High was gonna rain manna down for them anyway, whether they follow the law or not, just to show them, Okay. So they eating manna. Read verse 31 for me right here.
And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey.
So that's recorded in what they got in what John eating. They got
like egos or something.
Yeah, they got John eating his food. This is in the Ebionite gospel. His food, as it said, was wild honey. The taste of it was that of manna as of cake dipped in oil. They know what John was eating. They know what John was eating because it's coming from scriptures, and they know and more like they know him personally. He was telling them what he was eating. All right, but also just showing the connection. I'm gonna go to Numbers real quick, but then I'm gonna show you the connection with Elijah. So this is Numbers chapter 11, read verse 7 through 9.
And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about and gathered it, and ground it in mills, or beat it into mortar, and baked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it.
So they eat it, that oil. It was cake tastes with oil. They making nice pancakes. They making something. They making nice cakes. You know, and the same thing which was said with John. It was wild honey dipped. It was dipped that with manna as cakes dipped in oil. All right. So this is what John the Baptist. But now check this out, because John the Baptist is always compared to Elijah. Elijah ate manna. He ate cakes too. So now let's read what Elijah ate. Let's read what Elijah. Let's go to 1 Kings. Let's go to chapter 19. And start at verse. We're gonna start at verse 1 for me, bro. We're gonna read verse 1 through 8.
And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow, after this time. And when he saw that he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there.
So when he heard that, he fled. He left for his life. Keep going. It's Elijah, y'all. Keep going.
Verse 4, but he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness.
So he went into the desert too, just like John. Keep going.
And came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, it is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, arise and eat.
He needs you to eat. The angel said, he in the wilderness, just like John in the wilderness, just like the Israelites coming out of Egypt was in the wilderness eating manna. John was eating manna in the wilderness. Let's see what Elijah eating in the wilderness. Keep going. Verse 6
says, and he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a course of water at his feet. And he did eat and drank, and laid him down again. Verse 7, and the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of the Most High.
So Elijah ate cake in the wilderness also. Where are they getting this cake from? This is angel food. They're getting the manna. They're getting this cake. So yeah, the Jewish Christians, they understood that the Ebionites understood that John was eating cake, not locusts. It was a mistranslation. All right. It was a super mistranslation. All right. John the Baptist is always compared with Elijah. Why? Now, going to Elijah. Who was it? Did Elijah come from the lineage of Aaron? Did Elijah come from the lineage of Aaron according to ancient Jews? Let's see. Let's go to the book of Numbers. Yeah.
You mind if I say something real quick too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, another thing is, and you like people can look, just do like a simple Google research and look this up. But also, one of the reasons that it possibly could have been called locusts or whatever, they got out here like in Egypt and in places like Israel and like surrounding areas, they got something called locust bean and something called locust tree. And the locust tree is a carob tree, and the locust bean is the actual carob itself. Carob is used a lot of times as a substitute for chocolate. It don't really taste like chocolate, but it's a substitute for it sometimes. Like I actually buy it and eat it myself sometimes. But pretty much since ancient times, if you do your research, people used to take the carob and blend it up and make cakes with it. They would mix it with oil and actually make cakes with it also. So he could have been eating like a cake made out of carob powder.
Yeah, he could have mixed some carob powder with some manna. You know what I'm saying? All that makes sense. All that makes sense. But they try to make it seem like he was straight up eating locusts. You know what I'm saying?
There's no way you're gonna live off eating locusts, yo. I don't know what.
You got a better chance of eating cake. They lived for 40 years eating cakes in the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. You're gonna live better. You're gonna get your nutrients and what you need with cake and water.
And then to be honest with you, knowing that he was I don't want to go too deep into it, but knowing that he was an Essene, meaning what his diet was, which was a diet where he didn't eat no flesh or no meat, there's no way he would have been eating locusts in the first place.
Exactly. Let's read about this promise to the priesthood that was given to Aaron. Let's read about it. So we're in Numbers chapter 25, verse 10. Read verse 10 through 13 for me right there.
All right. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, have turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Wherefore say, behold, I give unto him my covenant of peace. Verse 13, and he shall have it, and his seed after him, even the covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was zealous for his God, and made an atonement for the children of Israel.
So now this it's going to be a forever covenant of peace, of an everlasting priesthood within this lineage of Aaron. All right, and this is important to understand. Now let's check something out real quick. Let me go to, I want to go back to Luke to show something real quick. Now, I'm gonna go to this Luke real quick. Also, go to Luke. I'm in Luke chapter 1. Luke chapter 1. And can you read verse 76? No, read verse, where is it? Read verse 79 right here. And this is dealing with John the Baptist,
You want me to read 76 through 79 or just 79?
No, just read just 79.
It says to give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into a way of peace.
Into a way of peace. So this is that covenant of peace that you see. And I'm gonna show something in just a second. This is that we just read in Numbers. That would be a covenant of peace with that priesthood. All right. And an everlasting covenant of peace in for that everlasting priesthood. It would be a covenant of peace. All right. So now let's go to Zechariah real quick. Let's go to Zechariah. Let's check this out. Zechariah chapter 6. Zechariah chapter 6. Read verse, start at verse, and this is the crown and the temple. Okay, so this is dealing with the priest and the king, dealing with the king and the priest. All right. Start at verse 9 for me, bro.
And the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, take of them of the captivity, even of Helday, of Tobijah, and of Jediah, which are come from Babylon, and come thou the same day, and go into the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah. Then take silver and gold, and make crowns, and set them upon the head of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and speak unto him, saying, thus speaketh the Most High of hosts, saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Most High. Even he shall build the temple of the Most High, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between them both. And the crowns shall be to Helem, and to Tobijah, and to Jediah, and to Hen, the son of Zephaniah, for a memorial in the temple of the Most High.
So he told him to set these crowns on these people's head, on this high priest head, the head of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, because it's gonna be that lineage. He's still keeping his promise that he made with Aaron. All right, in the wilderness, that covenant of peace is gonna rule next with the branch, with the Messiah. All right, and between them will be the covenant of peace. All right, between them both. So now let's check this out. It's some crazy information. Let's check this out. Now this is Oregon or Oregon. All right, here in the late 2nd century, the 3rd century, Oregon. Now he's writing a commentary on the book of John. Now, but let's see what he says about Elijah. All right, can you read what's highlighted right there?
Yeah. It says, I do not know how the Hebrews came to tell about Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, who admittedly prolonged his life to the time of many of the judges, as we read in the book of reading the book of Judges, to tell about him what I now mention, that say that he was Elijah.
So they say that talking about the Jews they say that he was Elijah. They say Phinehas was Elijah, but keep going.
And he was Elijah because he had been promised immortality in Numbers.
In the book of Numbers, what we just read, he's talking about he think that this immortality, but it was coming through a seed. It was gonna be coming through a descendants of him that the Most High we're gonna keep going. And Elijah come from that descendant. I'm gonna show y'all in a second. Keep going.
On account of the covenant of peace granted to him because he was jealous with a divine jealousy, and in a passion of anger, pierced the Midianitish woman and the Israelite, and stayed the wrath of the Most High, as it is called. As it is written, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, have turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, in that he was jealous with my jealousy among them.
So according to Origen, which is a early church historian, he said that the Jews, the Hebrews, they understood it's a connection with Elijah and Aaron and Aaron offsprings. It's a connection. But now let's go to what Athaneus say about Elijah. He said he found some records about them. He said he found some records because when you look into the canonized Bible we have today, we don't have Elijah lineage. We don't know if Elijah is a Levite. We don't know what he is. All right. But they come to find out he is a Levite, and that's why they kept comparing him with John the Baptist, comparing John the Baptist to Elijah. Because they come from the same family. Elijah is actually from the priesthood lineage. I'm going to show you, according to Athaneus, he found some records. That's what he's going to say. All right. Now let's and this is we in Athaneus, the Parnarian. He's writing against the heresy of a sect called the Melchizedeks. Okay. So let's see what he says about this sect called the Melchizedeks. We're gonna start right here. We in paragraph 3 right here, stanza 3. Paragraph 3 and stanza 3.
Mm-hmm. And of how many others is the ancestry not expressly given? Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Elijah the Tishbite, neither their fathers nor their mothers are found anywhere in any of the covenanted scriptures. It says, let me see, but so that no error arises from this, it will do no harm to say what I have learned from tradition myself. For I have found that Daniel's father was a man called Saban. It says, and I have likewise actually found Elijah's lineage and shall trace it in order. Elijah the Tishbite.
So Athaneus said he found Elijah lineage. Okay, keep reading.
Elijah the Tishbite was the brother of Jehoiada the priest, who was supposedly of priestly descent and was the son of Ahinoam, but Ahinoam was the son of Zadok, and Zadok was the son of Ahatub, and the son of Amariah. Amariah was the son of Razazah. Razazah of Ahaziah. Ahaziah of Phinehas. Or Phineas was the son of Eleazar, and Eleazar was the son of Aaron. Plainly, Aaron, the high priest, Aaron was the son of Aaron. Aaron was the son of Kohath, Kohath of Levi. And Levi was the third son of Jacob. But Jacob was the brother of Esau and the son of Isaac. and Isaac was the son of Abraham.
So Ephaneus, he found a record that traced Elijah lineage back to Aaron. Keep going. Keep going on stanza 6. Read all the way to stanza 7.
All right. It says, but the genealogies of these persons are by no means plainly set forth in the canonical scriptures.
Why is that? Keep going.
Just parts of the subject as it pertains to Elijah in Chronicles. However, I have simply not found the father of the three children, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, either in traditions or in apocryphal works. What about that? Will they too, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, delude us into drawing wrong inferences, wondering far too much about each one's lineage, and concluding that they have no fathers and mothers? Let's hope not.
All right, because he's writing against this group called the Melchizedeks Christians. Okay, so now, but and these people are Melchizedek. These people, they're coming from the Essenes. All right, these are so. But now, to understand, Ephaneus found a record of Elijah lineage. All right, so this is the connection now. This is the connection. All right, they're waiting for this Levitical Messiah to pull up on the scene. All right, they're waiting for this Levitical Messiah, and he's compared to Elijah because Elijah is actually a Levitical. He's from the high priest lineage. All right, so that's the connection that you see with that. Now, the New Testament or the Old Testament doesn't tell you that Elijah is a Levite. It doesn't tell you that. All right, say he's a Tishabite. He's a Levite, and that's the connection with John the Baptist and Elijah right there. All right, so now try to wrap this up, man. I know we've been on here a little long. Well, it's so much information. I even skipped some information. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of information. Let's go right to the Dead Sea Scrolls real quick. I'm gonna go to page to the 500s. Hold on. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting information right here. Trying to wrap it up. Get these last couple scripts, couple things real quick. We can wrap this up, man. But people say there's not a lot of information about John the Baptist. It's a lot of information about John the Baptist. We just got to know where it's at, so we could put it together and be like, and get a historical, scriptural aspect of John the Baptist. All right. Now, let's see. Gotta wait till we catch up. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. But John the Baptist, he is that Levitical Messiah, that Aaron Messiah. All right. He's that, and they in this group at the Qumran Caves, they were waiting. They were waiting on these figures. We're going to read about these figures that they were waiting for. All right. These people was waiting for these figures to come and to return also, to return. They knew who they was. They were in there because these people would be returning also. They believed in the resurrection. All right. They believed in the resurrection. They understood that they will return back also. They understood that. All right. So once that group realized who these people were, and then they came, because they was ultimately waiting for these figures. Originally the understanding of a Hebrew understanding about the Messiah, the understanding was always to be a Davidic Messiah, which would be the head leader of the congregation, but also you would have a Levitical Messiah that would actually prepare the way for the Davidic Messiah. All right. So now let's read this. This is an old record. This is a testimony of the Messianic anthology. All right, and this is commentary, about it. Okay, about these three figures that was always waited for. All right, it was figures that was waited for. So now let's But let's read this right here about the Levi. Read this right here for me, bro.
And Levi, he said, give give thy what's that Thummim to Levi,
Mm-hmm.
and thy Urim to the pious, one whom thou didst test at Massah, and with whom thou didst quarrel at the waters of Meribah, who said to his father and mother, I know you not, and who did not acknowledge his brother or know his sons, for they observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall cause thy precepts to shine before Jacob and thy law before Israel. They shall send up incense towards thy nostrils and place a burnt offering upon thine altar. Bless his power, O Lord, and delight in the works of his hands. Smite the loins of his adversaries, and let his enemies rise no more.
So they understood that it would always be a Levitical figure there. All right, a Levitical figure there, because in this record right here is speaking of three. I mean, it tell you what they waiting. They waiting in this information right here. They speaks about it speaks about a person that's the prophet like Moses. All right, it tell you about the prophet like Moses right here. Then it tells you about the star that should come from Jacob, which is the Davidic Messiah, and then it tell you about Levi. It tell you about their position. So it's giving you a three aspect of understanding of things, but two of those aspects is actually going to be one, which is the prophet like Moses and the star that should come out of Jacob, that sepulcher. All right, that's going to be two in one, and then the Levi is going to be separate. So now that's what they understand. But let's go to John, the Gospel of John. Let's go to this information right here. So now let's go to John chapter 1, verse 19. Verse 19. Can you read verse 19 through 21 for me?
Yeah. And this is the record of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Christ. And they asked him, what then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, no. Then said they unto him, who art thou? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What sayest thou of thyself?
Keep going. Keep
He
going.
said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said by the prophet Isaiah or
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah. Keep reading.
Keep reading. Verse
And they
24.
which were sent were of the Pharisees.
Read verse 25, the last one.
And they asked him and said unto him, why baptizest thou then, if thou be not that Christ,
That
nor
if he not the Davidic Messiah, or if he nor Elijah, which is the Levitic Messiah, and neither if he what?
that prophet.
That prophet that like to Moses. To show you that the Hebrews, they always had the understanding of a three figure, but what was the kicker of it, that the Davidic Messiah was going to be that prophet like unto Moses, and the Davidic Messiah also. He was going to be a two-figure aspect. All right. So now, but so they understood that. That's why they asked John. Oh, we kept asking, "Are you Elias? Are you that? Are you that? Are you that? Are you that Levi Messiah? Are you Elijah's? Are you that Levi Messiah?" That's what they asked him. Are you that Levi Messiah? All right. So now, let's let's wrap it up. So now,
I think Mike trying to say something. I'm not sure.
Mike, you trying to say something?
If you talking, we can't hear you. It looked like he was trying to talk, but ain't nothing coming through.
All right, so let's get this last bit right here. This is the Recognitions of Clement, which is a Ebionite record. Let's get some historical information about John the Baptist and about, like, according to Josephus, how he was the leader of a whole congregation of people, so much people that he can cause a rebellion. All right, so let's read about John the Baptist according to some Jewish Christian understanding that we've been doing. Let's keep it up. Let's go. Recognitions book 1, chapter 53. You start right there, bro.
All right. It says, by means of this, since there was no small dispute concerning the Messiah, the unbelievers from the Jews increasingly gnashed their teeth against us while divided, lest he was the one with whom they formerly erred and did wrong. But furthermore, fear was exceedingly growing and increasing among them, because in the same hour that he was nailed to the cross, everything suffered within him. And furthermore, after his body was kept under guard, it was not found. And all the time, many were coming over to belief of the matter with the, belief of the matter regarding him. Those who did not believe were therefore compelled, along with their priests, Caiaphas, to come to a disputation concerning the one who had suffered. And because of this, as I formerly mentioned, he sent for us many times, and they requested of us so as to learn or teach whether Jesus was the Messiah, witness to them about the Messiah, but also at once to rebuke many of them on account of their great offense. For the people were being divided into many opinions, beginning from the days of John the Baptist.
Okay, so now you're about to get into some history about John the Baptist from the Recognitions of Clement. So according to this Ebionite record, the high priest and these different sects, they wanted to challenge the apostles. So they told them to come up to the temple, come up to the temple. So, but they about to get some understanding. Before, the people were being divided into many opinions since the beginning, from the days of John the Baptist. Why are they mentioning John the Baptist? Because John the Baptist, you're going to see that he was the leader over a lot of people. And what happened from him, a lot of different sects came out. For those who didn't, stick with the when John the Baptist passed the baton to the Messiah, those who didn't agree with that, you had many sects start to come out. All right. So now let's get some information. Keep going. This chapter 54. Keep going.
For when the Messiah was still to be revealed, for the sake of abolishing sacrifices and revealing and making known baptism, the accuser, who was contrary, knew the time by predestination and made schisms and divisions, so that even if the first sin received a retraction and ratification, a second offense would be able to prevent salvation. Therefore, the first of them are those called Sadducees.
So even during John the Baptist's time, when you already had the Sadducees out there, all right, because the Messiah, like John was doing baptism for remission of the sins. The Messiah baptism was to show them, remission of the sins also, but to show them that baptism actually subdued sacrifices. All right. So that what his baptism was really for. Keep going on.
Who in the days of John begun to separate themselves from the people as if righteous, and to deny the resurrection of the dead.
So you had the Sadducees, they denied the resurrection of the dead. Keep going.
They brought forth their faithless doctrine persuasively, for they said it is improper to worship and fear God on account of a reward of kindness. And with this imagination, as I mentioned, what's that?
Those
Dositheus
uh-huh.
begun, and from Dositheus even Simon begun to muster divisions, for he
Mm-hmm.
desired something similar to him. But
Mm-hmm.
furthermore, others who were called Samaritans
So you
also
got the Sadducees, then you got these Samaritans. Keep going.
called Samaritans also denied the resurrection of the dead,
Mm-hmm.
and they bowed down to Mount Gerizim in
Mm-hmm.
place of the holy city Jerusalem. But they rightly expect the one prophet who comes to restore and rectify the things that are not known, as Moses formerly declared by uh, Dositheus. What's that? Willingness, they fell into divisions and were thus disaffected so as to be unrepentant by means of the Messiah.
Now the Dositheus, he actually was a part of the community that John established. But what happened was he broke away. We're gonna read that in a second. But so they're gonna name these people that's against the church. I mean that they did different schisms that's out there. Keep going.
And the scribes and the Pharisees were baptized by John.
So John baptized the scribes and the Pharisees. Okay, John has so much respect. That's why when you read the Greco-Roman Gospel, it tell you have Pharisees and scribes come up to his baptism. Yeah, they came up to him and they got in the water. They got baptized. He even had scribes and Pharisees started to come into the community also. You know what I'm saying? John was the leader over all these over a lot of these sects. You know what I'm saying? Because he was starting, it was something that he was establishing, preparing the way for the Messiah. Keep going.
And the scribes and Pharisees were baptized by John. Thus were they convinced of the word of truth, that the kingdom of heaven is in the likeness of a key that they received by the hand of Moses to hide.
So they started to be convinced that the word was to be hid. The information, they shouldn't be giving everybody certain information, but that's wrong. Keep going.
But those who are the pure disciples of John were exceedingly separated from the people, and
Mm-hmm.
they called to their teacher as if he existed in hiding by
Mm-hmm.
means.
So the people who didn't want to let, when John passed the baton to the Messiah, those who stayed, wanted to hold John as the Messiah. They tried to hold John as the Messiah. That's what it's talking about. Keep going.
Hiding by means of this, because all these divisions arose among the people. Alas, the baptism of the Messiah was prevented from being believed.
So you had all these different sects, and then with John the Baptist, the ones who didn't want to, adhere to the Messiah. And that's when you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, you see it was schisms, and Dead Sea Scrolls tell you had people that fell away. You smite the shepherd, and people started, falling away. So when John got taken away, and he had left it all under the control, because they was ruling it together. You had the Davidic Messiah, and you had the Levitical Messiah, and they running the community together. Now some people may not accept it. Jesus as the Davidic Messiah, because they wanted to stick hold to John. And some of those people. And so now when this baptism come on the scene about abolishing sacrifices, now you got more schisms, not really from John people, because they are on a type of diet anyway. Not the people that want to stick to John as the Messiah, because he got took to prison and he got left away, and now it's leadership difficulties going on. People having schism within the leadership. So what's happening is the baptism about abolishing sacrifices, all of that, it became a real problem. It became a real problem with these other groups like the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the scribes. It became a real problem with them. So let's go right here. Let's go to 60. We in chapter 60. I mean chapter 1, book 1, chapter 60.
And there drew near one from the disciples of John, who was glorifying John. He is the Messiah, and Jesus was not, as even Jesus said regarding him, that he was the greatest of the prophets who ever were. If therefore he was greater than Moses, he is evidently more so than Jesus, because Jesus rose up like Moses, and it is proper that John, being greater than them, is the Messiah. And against him, Simeon the Canaanite, I think,
Yeah, that's the Canaan. Yeah, that's
yeah,
him. Mm-hmm.
it says, argued, no, excuse me. Yeah, argued that John was greater than the prophets who were born of women, but not than him who is the Son of Man.
So that's how he corrected him. He corrected him like, yeah, the Messiah did say that, but not of him who is of the Son of Man. All right, keep going.
Wherefore, Jesus is even, I'll just say, wherefore Yeshua is even the Messiah, but John was only a prophet. However, the things of Yeshua are as completely far off compared with the things of John, as one sent forth running is already far off from the one sending him to run before him.
Yeah, if John preparing the way for the Messiah, he can't be the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're trying to stress to those followers of John that wanna try to uphold John as a Messiah. Because some of the a lot of the followers of John, accepted when the baton was passed. They're like, yeah, we understand, But then some of them wanted to hold John as the Messiah. All right. Keep going, bro.
Hold on. I'm trying to see where I was at.
Right here, start right here.
Okay, it says, and also one doing the work of the law from the one who gave the law. Therefore, he said these things, testified of things corresponding to them, and thereupon became silent. And after him,
Barabbas.
Barabbas, the one who became an apostle in the place of Judas, the betrayer.
Hold on, so it said they got Barabbas coming, being instead of Matthias, according to Jewish Christian understanding, it's Barabbas, and this is actually, when you do the research, this is actually the Messiah little brother. This is baby Joseph. This is baby Joseph right here. All right. I'm gonna show y'all real quick. This is baby Joseph. This is Joseph Jr. Let's see. Go to Mark real quick. 6 and 3. All right, so and then I'm gonna read it real quick. Is not this the carpenter, the son of is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Hosea, or however you want to say, and of Judah and of Simon, and not his sisters here with us, and they were offended at him. This name right here, Josias, this actually is little Joseph. I'm gonna show you. This is little Joseph. This is Papias. This is what Papias write. He's writing saying it was 4 Marys, but Mary 1 and Mary 2 is the same Mary. I'm gonna read it. Mary, this is Mary 1. Mary, the mother of the Lord. Mary, and then the other Mary, this is Mary 2. Mary, the wife of Clopas and Alphaeus, who was the mother of James, the bishop and apostle, and of Simon, and of Thaddeus, which is Jude, and of one Joseph. All right, that's one Joseph. So that's the baby. That's the baby Joe. That's the baby. Now they say that Barabbas was the one who replaced Judas, not Matthias. So where is they getting this information from? When we look at Acts, right here, Acts 1. I'm gonna read this real quick. Acts 1. I'm gonna read. This is it. Tell you that, and they. I'm gonna read verse 23. And they appointed two, Joseph called Barabbas, who were surnamed Justice, and Matthias. All right, and they prayed and said to the Lord, which knows the hearts of all men, show whether of these two they have chosen. And it tell you verse 26, and they got and they forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. But according to what we just read in the recognitions of Clement, the Syriac version, even the Latin version say something different, but the Syriac version tell you that it was Barabbas that was actually made apostle, in place of Judas, the betrayer. All right, and that's actually Joseph's little brother. I mean, that's the Messiah. That's Jesus' little baby brother. That's baby Joseph. That's Joseph Jr. Barabbas is another name for Joseph. All right, another name for Joseph. So now let's keep going. So just get back with John, because John is crazy important. It's crazy important. It was a lot of information. It was hard to kind of just trying to quantify it all by itself. I mean, I did quantify some things I didn't even go into, but read this right here. We're gonna wrap it up with this thing. So this right here, this is going into more information about John the Baptist and how, because he was the head of the sect. He was one of the head leaders setting up the congregation. See, he was in the wilderness setting the congregation up. Then he was revealed to Israel. So now, let's go to the recognitions of it's book 2, chapter 8. Chapter 8. Can you read this for me right here, bro?
For after John the Baptist was killed, as even you know, Dositheus received authority over this very sect with 30 elect and one woman called, what's that? Syra. It says, as if the 30 were to be the course of the moon. This Simon, I know not how, for the sake of loving vainglory, met Dositheus, and with a false friendship requested of him that when any one from those 30 should die, he would immediately be appointed in the place of the one who died. For not even before a trial does one enter in and become appointed, nor of that number nor of that number is anyone added or subtracted.
So Dositheus, when John died, it was a breakup in the community. All right, and 30 people left. 30 people left, and Dositheus was the leader of these 30 people. And Simon, he come and he hollered at Dositheus and wanted to join Dositheus, group or whatever. So this was Simon coming to effect. So Simon, like all these people was learning underneath, John the Baptist at a point in time. The community was he had a crowds of people coming to John. John had crowds of people coming to him. All right. So now, well, keep going. It's gonna show you what happened to Dositheus. Hold on. Matter of fact, yeah, let me skip down right quick. Read the last one right here. So read this right here about what happened to Dositheus, how Simon got into leadership of Dositheus' flock.
It says, nevertheless, in the beginning, when he, Simon, was among the 30 disciples of Dositheus, he was accusing Dositheus before them. He does not purely teach you doctrine, and he does this not as through spite, but because he is ignorant. And when in time Dositheus grew enraged with his excessive accusing, for with the guile Simon intended to destroy him, in order to sway the mind of the many and show himself to be the standing one. In a rage, he went to the house of their teaching and as was customary, and found Simon and beat him. But the rod seemed to pass through Simon as if through smoke.
Some magic. Simon was a magician.
Oh, that Simon?
Yeah.
I thought it. All right, that makes sense. It says, and Dositheus was astonished because of this, and said to him, if you are the standing one, even I will worship you. And when Simon said, I am he, Dositheus knew that he himself was not the standing one, and he fell down and worshipped him. Thus he placed himself lower among those 29 elect, sorry. And in his own expected place, he established Simon and commanded that everyone should listen to him. Now, when Simon stood in Dositheus' expected place, Dositheus, who received the place of Simon, fell down and died.
So that's how Simon got got a congregation. All right. Eventually. All right. So now this was a sect that when John the Baptist died, they broke off and became their own thing. All right. And started doing their own, people was breaking off because they didn't want the baton to be passed to Yeshua, but John knew who Yeshua was. He knew who he was. All right. He knew exactly who he was. I'm gonna read these last two things. I know you read a lot, man. I'm gonna read these last two things. This is John. We're in chapter 1. This is 35. Knowing that, sure, that John knew who the Messiah. Once he baptized him, he knew. Once he was learning, once Jesus came, Yeshua came from Nazareth to say, hey, I'm Yeshua from Nazareth. I'm glad to be here. What I need to do to learn here, to become a member here. Once he started to, frequently come to the headquarters and start to learning and got baptized, John knew, oh yeah, that's the one. That's him. And he from David. That's the one. All right, so now this is John chapter 1, verse 35. And again, the next day after John stood and two of his disciples, and looking upon Yeshua as he walked, he said, behold, the Lamb of God. John knew who he was. And the two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Yeshua. All right, so John was letting people know, this is who y'all have to follow eventually. All right, then verse 38, then Yeshua turned and saw them following and said unto them, what seek ye? They said unto him, Rabbi, which to say, being interpreted, Master, where dwellest thou? He said unto them, come and see. They came and saw where he dwelt and abode with him that day, for it was about the 10th hour. One of the two which heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Peter's brother. All right, so John knew who the Messiah was. It was meant for John followers to follow the Messiah. That's what it was meant for. It was meant for that. Verse 41. And he first found of his own brother Simon and said unto him, we found the Messiahs. We found the Messiahs, which is being interpreted the Christ. We know who John is. He the Levitical Messiah. We know who now we found the Davidic Messiah. And he brought him to Jesus. And when Jesus beheld him, he said, thou art Simon, the son of Jonah, thou shalt be called Cephas, which is by interpretation a stone. All right. So just to show that information right there, and then this is actually the last one. I gotta read this one out of the Q Gospel. Let me go all the way to the top to the Q Gospel. So this is Q4. Q1. So these are just teachings. Well, when you read these things, these are teachings of John. The things that John taught. Like it say, this is Q3. Even tax collectors came to John to be baptized, and they asked him, "Teacher, what should we do?" He said to them, "Collect no more than the amount prescribed for you." Soldiers asked him, "And what should we do?" He said to them, "Do not extort money from anyone by threats or false accusations, and be satisfied with your wages." That's something that most people would dedicate to the Messiah, but this is a John teaching. This is John teachings. All right. John had teachings. John the Baptist, I baptize you. He's letting you know, and this is all what you can find in Luke and Matthew. All right, this is information you can find, teachings about John. All right, things that John taught. All right, so now but that's it with the lesson. I know it was a long one. Yeesh. But it's valuable information to show that John the Baptist is the Levitical Messiah. And his comparison with Elijah is come from the high priest lineage. He come from the high priest lineage. Why that has been hidden, I don't know. But maybe because they try to hide the whole fact about John the Baptist and his role. John taught the Messiah. John was the Messiah teacher. All right. John was the leader of the community. He was the one helping establish it, preparing the way for the Messiah to come there to establish the new covenant at Damascus. All right. So now, but that's it. We're gonna wrap this up. It's done. For John the Baptist, the Levitical Messiah, lineage of Aaron. All right. And y'all have a wonderful Sabbath. Shabbat. Shalom. Let me end the, how do I end the, uh-oh.
We still on or no?
I don't even know.